Hi, everyone. I'm Anumani, your modern day shaman and the author of Unmasking Your Soul, a transformational journey of truth, light, and healing. And today I have a wonderful guest with me, Theresa. Hi, Theresa.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And so I'm going to read your bio so everyone knows who you are, and then we're going to get started. So, Theresa is known for her humorous and interactive presentations. She's a seasoned trainer, speaker, coach, culture maven, and professional stand up comedian. And she uses the tagline corporate profit, which we'll get more into what that is and how you've gone through your journey of unmasking. She's the past president of Greater Philadelphia ATD and Bluebell Toastmasters. She currently serves on the non-credit faculty at Temple University, teaching courses in business communications and leadership. And she also moderates Meet the Author at the Pyramid Club, a monthly program for business book discussions. And I'm grateful that I'll be at the author panel on May 10th that Theresa has organized with 8 amazing women. So I hope you guys can join us there on May 10th at 6 p.m. at the Pyramid Club. So Theresa, thank you for being with us. And I always like to start with the same question around your experience of soul and what soul means to you.
I think the definition of soul for me has changed over the years. Certainly growing up Catholic, there was kind of a definition that was bestowed upon me of what soul is. And it frankly wasn't very clear. But as time went on and as I did my own spiritual research and was on the journey, what I've come to realize is that it's really a connection to source. So whatever you call source, it could be the divine, it could be a higher power, it could be God. But I believe your soul is really a piece of God that is within you. And what's interesting is being Catholic, we really weren't taught the Bible, so to speak. Like it was read at Mass, but we weren't really taught the Bible. But there's a verse that says, don't look here or there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. So right there in Luke is telling us, we're looking all around trying to find this higher power, but really the kingdom of God is within you. And this was reinforced. There's a book I read by Eric Butterworth, and I highly recommend it, called Discover the Power Within You. And he reinforced that, we're taught that God is separate from us. We need to look for him, but that power is within you.
Yes.
And I believe that's really what our soul is. It's that connection to God that is within all of us.
And I love it. I think, the term in my book of connecting with heaven on earth, which is the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
In the Course in Miracles, which Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love, was really the first book that I started to read to begin my healing journey back in 2003 when I had my dream of awakening. And the Course in Miracles is about helping us release the conditioning that we are separate. Mm-hmm. And really to come back to that what you're talking about, that, the source, creator, God lives within us. So I love that. And as you've evolved your definition of soul, you're also in a totally different place. And tell us about your journey of unmasking and how you got to where you are today, and what particular mask may have been difficult for you, or maybe more than one, because for me, I know I wore many masks and still working on releasing some of the conditioning that I experienced in my life. So tell us about your story and how you got to where you are today.
I spent the better part of my work life working in or with corporations, and I still continue to do that to this day. And I think many of us, we just kind of fall into the work that we do, because at the beginning, frankly, you just need to find employment, right? You just need to make some money. So you fall into something. And then if you get comfortable, you just kind of hang out there. And that's much what I did. I was a biology and chemistry major and was looking for work and couldn't find work in the field I wanted. So I got a job at Prudential. I ended up staying there for 18 years. And it's funny because I almost picture myself as a raft. So I don't have a sail. I don't really have a rudder. I just have this thing that kind of floats along. And wherever the corporation wanted me to go or wanted me to do, I was just riding along wherever it took me. And there was a point where I realized, holy cow, like I need to be the captain of my boat here. Like this raft is taking me places that I sometimes don't want to be. And that was when it was kind of a wake-up call for me that I really needed to kind of drive my own boat. And it's actually very freeing when you realize that, you know, because you really take control of your life and take control of your career.
And
So,
was there a pivotal moment where you realized that something triggered you, that you said, oh my God, I need to do something different?
Yeah. And I think sometimes we need a jolt, you know, like if we're comfortable, very often we're not going to make the shift. But there's something that causes some discomfort. And that discomfort was 1996. I had been with the company 12 years. And I remember the helicopter landing outside the building and a couple executives from our North Jersey office walking in from the helipad. And you have to wonder when executives have to fly in a helicopter for a 90-minute car ride, they want a quick escape. They want to like get in and get out. So you're wondering, why are they flying in on a helicopter, right? 150 of us ushered into a room really to be told that we would be out of work within the next 30, 60, 90 days. And I would imagine the majority of us had no idea this was coming. That was the epiphany for me. I remember leaving that meeting and walking through the hall thinking, how did this happen? How did this happen? And that was the moment I realized I need to own my career. Like I need to, first of all, decide who am I and what is it that I need to do? And I need to own this, because up to that point, I really let my company kind of decide who I was, what I was doing. So from that point forward, from 1996 forward, I've kind of owned my career, and I haven't looked back. It's a good thing.
Wonderful. And was there a particular mask that you found yourself wearing, or more than one mask, as you were traversing that? I also worked in corporate for many years and found myself wearing many masks, right?
Yeah.
So for you, which one kind of stands out the most?
I mean, well, I was just your perfect corporate person. You know, I dressed the part. I had the car that you were expected to drive. I read the books you should be reading. I knew the little catchphrases you could use. So it was really like being an actress in a play. And, but it really wasn't entirely who I was until I finally realized there is a role for me in corporations. And, you know, once I started to get, I don't want to say all spiritual. Once I started to get all spiritual, I thought, well, you can't be in a corporation because that's not spiritual. And my friend that I worked with, I was actually at a pharmaceutical company for a short time. So my friend was pursuing a master's degree in spiritual counseling, because he's like, Theresa, that's what I'm going to pursue. I'm going to be a spiritual counselor. And I thought, look at him. Like he's authentic. He's doing what he should be doing. And I said to him, I feel like this is fake. Like I'm not being true to myself. But I'll never forget this conversation because it was very reassuring. He said, Theresa, what if everybody who was like you left the corporations? And these corporations were just left with all these people wearing their masks, right? You are here to restore the soul of this organization. You're here to be the conscience and to help us find deeper meaning to what we do. And he said, you are like a corporate prophet. So this is authentically you. And I almost wept because I thought, oh my gosh, I can be myself
Right.
and still work with corporations. And I really believe that's why I'm here. So I had to lose the I don't know if you want to call it the BMW mask, I got a ficus tree in my office mask. I had to lose that mask. But in so doing, I can still be a corporate chick with a soul.
And that is so awesome. I just felt all this great energy coming in as you were saying that, because we do need, people like yourself. And, I know that that's part of my calling as well, to go back in a different way, to bring in more consciousness into the work
Mm-hmm.
done, and help, those people that are in the organizations who do need the guidance and do want to find that purpose again, right? And you help them find that again
Yes.
with your organizations. So you've done some pretty cool stuff. You're a stand-up comedian. How did you get into that? I got to see you, do some of your comedy, and it was so great. So, tell people, because, I think sometimes that we hold back from doing some of the things that make our hearts sing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that for you, when you do the comedy, that's part of one of the things that makes your heart sing.
Oh, it does. It does.
So tell us how you got into that.
It's funny because I think sometimes we tell ourselves, who we are and who we are not, right? And if you had said to me years ago, oh, Theresa, so you'll be a stand-up comedian, you'll get on stage and people will pay to come and see, and then I would have said, you are out of your mind. That's not who I am. But it is who I am. And you just have to, it's almost like life's a buffet. You have to sample things until you find the things you really like. So I signed up for a class. Never underestimate the power of a non-credit class, my friends. So I signed up for a class. At the time, it was, I think, $89, Montgomery County Community College, stand-up comedy, 8 weeks. I thought, it's a bargain, 5 minutes from my house. I'm going to have a good time in the class. And all I want to learn is how to weave humor into my work. That's all. I didn't want to be a stand-up comic. That was far-fetched. That was ridiculous. And at the end of the 8 weeks, they had us do 5 minutes of comedy at a comedy club. And there were over 200 people that came to see it. And it is an amazing thing when you are on that stage and you're prepared. It's not like it's not improv. You're prepared and you do this work and people laugh. And people laugh. And you just think, oh my, this is magical. It's a magical, magical thing. And I think this is spiritual work. We need to laugh. I mean, life is getting so serious. I mean, God forbid you watch TV at all. It's just so serious. And I think that this is part of my spiritual work, is also getting people to see the humor in life, because it's funny.
That is so awesome. Yes, it's funny because I'm always reminded by my guides and in meditation, right, to lighten up and laughter and not take life so seriously. And it's like, even when there's emotions that come up or things that happen to you, and you kind of laugh at yourself and go, oh my God, like, there's my ego again trying to, play tricks on me, and making fun of the things that, could actually take you down a spiral that's not a good spiral. So I'm curious, how do you prepare when you're going to go do a comedy show?
I do the same thing before every show. And I think all of us, and when I say all of us, all the comics have our own little things that we do. But I run through the set out loud, usually in the car, driving to the show. And I will just run through the set. And the set doesn't change much. When did I start? 2002. Now the set has grown to about 25, 30 minutes. But there are still jokes I'm using now that I used in that very first time I was on stage, but I'll just run through it in my head. And then when I get to the venue, I usually handwrite just the headings on a piece of paper. I never look at it again, but I handwrite it just so that I don't forget. From a spiritual sense, I always take several deep breaths before I get on stage and just say, God, I've prepared for this, but take me where you need me to go for this audience. Like, just be with me. And I feel I've channeled a higher power in certain situations. And I think, oh my God, that was magical, but it wasn't me. It was something else working there.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you drop into that place of trust, right? And you just surrender to the moment and allow what needs to come through you to come through you. What's your favorite part, in doing the show? Is it how people react? What's your favorite?
I think my favorite part of comedy is just working with other comics. I have to say, like, what a blessing that I probably have, I don't know, over 100 comics that I've worked with who are all amazing and talented and just expressing themselves in a very vulnerable and fun way. So just the comedians that I have as friends, some of them very deeply spiritual. My good friend Paul Lyons, love him, deeply spiritual guy, wonderful, thoughtful person, and hysterically funny comic. Grover Silcox, who's been like a mentor, he's wonderful, beautiful soul. Too many to list.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so that's a big thing, is the comics.
And I know one of your other passions is the author. Every month at the Pyramid Club, you bring an author to speak about their book. So tell us, what started all of that and your passion around that.
Well, it is a labor of love, and I would be lying if I didn't say there was some labor involved, because it's administratively it's got a lot of detail, but I love it. So it started when I joined the Pyramid Club, which, by the way, is just a wonderful place in Center City with a magnificent view of the city, and it's a great place for business people to kind of camp out. You can have meetings. So I joined this club, first of all, asking myself, am I worthy to be in this beautiful place? Isn't that so typical? Who am I to be a member of this beautiful club? Quickly realizing I absolutely belong there, and there are beautiful souls there. So I thought, well, how could I give back? What could I do? Well, I have a lot of friends that have written books, and I just, off the top of my head, I wrote 14 names down, people who'd written books. And I thought, well, let me see if they want to host an author event, and reached out, and they said, oh my gosh, I think people would love that. So I thought, at the very least, we'll do a year, and we'll do one a month, and that will be fun. And little did I know, here I am in the 4th year. I have befriended so many fascinating authors. I've got a wait list of authors to 2019, which is insane. Absolutely insane. But the beautiful thing about Meet the Author, obviously the authors are great, and the topics are great, the conversations are great. But the participants who come to that program are amazing. Brilliant, good souls, thoughtful, connectors. So people should come to Meet the Author, not just for the topic, but to make a friend. You will leave there with a connection. So there's my pitch on Meet the Author. Love that. Love it.
Somebody tomorrow, correct? Who's coming tomorrow?
I have, it's Thursday night, Wayne Kimmel, who is a venture capitalist. So super smart business person, and talks about, some of the ventures that he's gotten involved with and businesses. Drops a lot of names. I've seen him speak before, and I'm like, my goodness, the people that this guy works with. But just brilliant businessman. And we're partnering with Center City Proprietors on Thursday. So you'll have a lot of Center City, Philadelphia business people there. as well.
That's great. So if folks want to meet Wayne and do some networking, then Thursday night at 6 p.m. at the Pyramid Club.
Yep. Yep. But if you
Wonderful.
can't make it then, definitely come in May.
Yes.
There's some wonderful authors on that panel.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. So tell us more about what you're doing now and some of the things that you're seeing with some of the, clients that you're working with, as you're bringing your work to them and really trying to restore the soul of these organizations.
Yeah, it's funny how typically when I get connected with a client, I'm usually brought in to do a workshop. So it all starts with, we need a management training class, or we need an interpersonal skills training class. So often the thought is, come in, you'll do a workshop, maybe a couple workshops, and, we shake hands and that's the end of it. But what seems to happen more often, and it's delightful for me as a business person and as a person that appreciates the relationship, is I'm invited to come in and work on organizational culture. Because invariably when we do the training, we're going to talk about culture, and it's going to come up. And that's when there's this realization, wow, we really need to work on this. This is something that we've kind of allowed to happen. Our culture is just happening, but we're not really consciously creating the culture. So let's look at that. So I end up coming in and doing maybe a series of workshops, working with the executive team, doing some coaching. But it's beautiful to watch the transition. It's beautiful to look in organizations, most of whom are already good. They're good companies. But when they start to really focus on people and they start to focus on values, it's amazing to watch the transformation. So yeah, I'm blessed. I've got some great clients with some really, really good assignments, good coaching clients. And I'm just honored to work with these executives who are brilliant. But every coach needs a coach, so that's why I have a coach.
Yes. So that's wonderful. So now that you're in this place and, thinking back, there are people like yourself and myself in corporate America who, want to be more authentic, who are maybe trying to find themselves more deeply. So what advice would you give somebody who recognizes that maybe they're hiding parts of themselves or not showing up completely authentically? What would you recommend they start to do to be able to be more authentic?
I think listen to the voice within themselves. It's kind of hard to hear it because there's an awful lot of chatter. But I remember consciously, verbally saying, like out loud, please show me signs. I want to take the path you want me to take, but please show me signs. I'm open to anything. Just talk to me. And when you do that, and I'm sure this has happened for you as well, when you ask, they respond. And I'm not even sure who the they is, but they're out there saying, okay, you need a sign. I remember going to a speaking engagement, and I had my PowerPoint, I had my planned speech, but we ended up taking a path that wasn't planned and really sharing stories that were vulnerable. And people cried in this session. And I knew this was a sign. Like, this was the sign I needed. Like, don't just flip through PowerPoint slides and read canned notes. Open yourself up to who's there. When people start to ask questions, take the path with them. And yeah, that was another epiphany moment. But it's because I asked the question, show me the signs.
Yeah.
I'm open to it. I'm looking for them. And when I drove home from that event, I wept. I wept. I was so grateful.
Yeah.
So, I cry easy. Ah,
That's all the love that you have in your heart, my dear. And I have experienced similar where I'm doing a workshop and I had something planned and all of a sudden it's like, nope, you need to teach this, and you go with it
you
because
do.
people in the room need to receive that and you're the vessel for that. So, and you can do that, in doing a talk in a corporate setting or in a spiritual setting. It doesn't matter where you are. It's about committing to just showing up as who you are and trusting and allowing
Yeah.
that to come through. So that's really wonderful. And I resonate with that as well. So I know there's a breathing exercise that you do. Would you mind sharing that with people? Because I know it's something that you can do anywhere. I think you said it's a really quick
It is.
breathing
Yeah.
exercise. And I think we forget to breathe sometimes. And I was one of those people that had to remind myself to just take a breath and, take a break from what I was doing. And many of us sit in front of a computer, a lot during the day, if you're in a corporate setting. And I ended up putting, in big words, breathe, where I could
Yes.
see it to remind myself that it's important to take a break and just, take a deep breath and reconnect with all of you. So I know you have a specific practice that you do.
I do. It's called Stop, Breathe, and Be. Stop, breathe, and be. And you want to have something that you set up for yourself as a signal that you need to do stop, breathe, and be. So for me, it's looking at a clock. And if I look at a clock and it's a series of numbers, so if it's 222, 333, 444, 1111, 1010, or even 1234, if it's a series of numbers, I immediately pause. Now, if you're driving your car, keep your eyes open, close your eyes if you're driving your car. But I get excited. I'm like, oh, stop, breathe, and be. And I pause and I take 4 deep breaths, just 4 deep breaths. And the kind that, in your diaphragm that you feel it. 4 deep breaths. Your shoulders relax. I think your heart rhythm gets into a better place. But I look forward to a stop, breathe, and be. Now, some people put a sticker, maybe you put a sticker on a mirror, or you put a sticker somewhere near where your desk is. And if you see the sticker, it's stop, breathe, and be. But it's a reminder, to your point, we don't breathe.
Yeah.
Very shallow breathing throughout the day, but that's your invitation to become fully present, to breathe, and to get grounded.
Yes, and for those of us because I was one of those people who would not be grounded, I would leave my body a lot. Breathing immediately brings us back into our body, reconnects you to the earth, which is so important. So you can be fully present in the world in what you're doing. So thank you for sharing that. It's so important to be reminded to breathe, and you can even send yourself reminders. I do that, affirmations and things. I have a little
Yes.
reminder app on my phone, and every couple hours I'm getting reminders as well as that way. So do what works for you. Post-it notes, signs, use an app, whatever you need to remind you to breathe and be present in the world. So Theresa, I know you have a special offer for our audience today, and go ahead, talk about that.
So we've talked about Meet the Author, and I genuinely want you guys to come. It's an awesome event in May. So that's the big author night. It's from 6 to 9. There's food, beautiful view. We've got 8 amazing authors. The event is on Eventbrite. And if you do a search on Pyramid Club, you're going to find it. If you use the code UNMASK, all one word, UNMASK, you will get half price admission. It's already a pretty reasonably priced event, but Unmasked will bring it down half price. Bring a friend. We'd love to see you there. It'll be an awesome, awesome night.
And I will put the link of the Eventbrite event underneath the video when we're done with the code, so you guys can use that code. Thank you for doing that for our audience. And anything else that you'd like to share before we close out?
Well, if anybody wants to reach out, connect on LinkedIn. I'm out there, Theresa Hummel-Krallinger. My website is highfiveperformance.com. So if you want to visit the website to see what I'm about doing my corporate stuff, it's all out there. But definitely connect. I'm always looking for new friends, new connections, and let me know how I can help.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Theresa, for being on the show today. And just reminding everyone that you are loved and you are loved. And I will see you next week. Thanks, Theresa. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.